Hello and welcome to Chinballs Gaming. I am Scott and this is episode 2 of Amiga vs Mega Drive. The Amiga won the first round with cannon fodder. Let's have a look at how they stack up with Lemmings, released in 1991 for the Amiga and 1992 on the Mega Drive. Again, for these comparisons I'll be using a Model 1 Mega Drive and an Amiga 600, both from the PAL region. The Amiga version comes on 2 floppy disks. Load times are pretty poor, taking around a minute to get to the intro, and that's me being generous with the start time, and having around 20-second load time in between each level. So while we're here, let's have a watch of the intros. And of course, like a lot of Amiga games, the first disc is used just for the intro and you have to swap discs straight away. Luckily, this is the only time you have to swap discs, so it's not such an inconvenience. During these games side by side, you'll immediately notice several graphical differences. Firstly, the colours are slightly different, which is always the case between games on the Amiga and the Mega Drive, which is not so much of a concern. The UI is also different. The Mega Drive's versions is much chunkier, probably owing to the fact that you'd be playing on a TV rather than a monitor. The Amiga version's nice and clear. Controlling the game is obviously much nicer on the Amiga also, due to the mouse controls. On the Mega Drive, the controls are a little clunky due to having to use the controller's D-pad. Thankfully, there are some shortcuts. If you hold down A, you can pan left and right, and if you hold down B, you can cycle through all the different abilities and select them. The main difference, however, is the field of view on the Mega Drive is much narrower, meaning that you'll need to pan the camera even on these first few levels, whereas on the Amiga, the first 5 or 6 levels are essentially single screen. You don't need to move the camera at all. On the Mega Drive, you're constantly having to move left and right between the entrance and the exit. Load time between levels on the Mega Drive are near instant. On the Amiga, it takes about 20 seconds. This, however, is completely negated by the fact that the Amiga version runs faster than the Mega Drive version. The timers shown start when the first lemming lands on the floor and stop when the first lemming exits. If you look in the right-hand corners of the screen, you can see the timers. You'll notice that the Amiga version is slowly catching up to the Mega Drive version. Even on this very short level, there's a massive 7 seconds difference between the two versions. Even with the Amiga's extended load times, by the time I was on level 6, I was actually further ahead in the game on the Amiga than I was on the Mega Drive. So far it's not looking great for the Mega Drive, but there is one place where the Mega Drive really does excel. I much prefer the background music on the Mega Drive version. Check out the difference between these two. Saving progression on both systems are provided by password. Thankfully, the Mega Drive passwords are much shorter than the Amiga equivalent. This does, however, make them incompatible. Another minor UI difference is how to select the difficulty. On the Amiga version, it's done in the main menu. On the Mega Drive, it's done when you're selecting a level, which actually makes it a bit clearer because you can actually see which levels you're going to be playing. Both versions of the game include the two-player versus mode. which I personally love. This does, however, put a strain on the Mega Drive version with some graphical artifacts, worse panning issues, and perhaps a little extra lag. The Mega Drive version also has one major fundamental flaw. Take a look at our reduced menu items on the Amiga. You'll notice that the nuke button is missing on the Mega Drive version. This may not sound like a lot, but it is by far the biggest issue with this version of the game. Imagine this scenario: you've used 6 of your 10 blockers, but the level has only provided you 5 bombers. Without the nuke option, using all 5 bombers on the blockers would leave 1 alive, meaning if you've no other way to free them, the game is soft locked and will require a restart. This is a massive oversight and definitely not what you want on a game night. Everyone loves a good nuke. Hear how it sounds on the Amiga. On the Mega Drive, it's not so pleasing. So there we have it, and other than the Mega Drive having an excellent background music, it's pretty much destroyed by the Amiga version in every respect, making that 2-0 to the Amiga so far. Even the quicker load times cannot save a Mega Drive due to the slowdown issue, with the Amiga version just being a lot faster in game. Even though the Amiga version is superior, the Mega Drive version is still playable. I've had a lot of fun with this on many of game nights, even with the bug of not being able to destroy all your blockers. There's been many a times where I've made a point of it to go back and help out the person I am playing to unblock them, just because I've just been so frustrated with having to reset the game in the past so many damn times. Just remind people when they're playing, always save some bombs for those damn blockers. So until next time, Chinballs out.